COVID-19 was sent as a retribution for Donbas, and the Germans are calling to lift sanctions on Russia to help fight the pandemic. The coronavirus pandemic continues to be the #1 story throughout the world, and the onslaught of fakes about COVID-19 is not that far behind. Welcome to Stop Fake, the place where we break down fakes about Ukraine and expose the outlets that generate them. So let's get to it. The pro-Kremlin publication Newsfront claims that the coronavirus is Ukraine's retribution for the Donbas war sent from above and is a reckoning for the country's sins. The site also claims the European Union has closed its borders because of the coronavirus, leaving its partners to their own devices, spitting on Ukrainians, and showing that the European dream of the Maidan Revolution doesn't exist. The global coronavirus pandemic has been leading the news for well over a month, and the Russian propaganda machine has issued many outrageous fakes about the virus. However, claiming that the virus is a form of retribution for Ukraine is a first. Newsfront's characterization of EU moves to temporarily close its borders because of COVID-19 as being particularly insulting to Ukrainians is also absurd. The temporary border closures are intended to slow the spread of the virus, but they have not stopped the movement of goods and services, neither in EU countries nor in Ukraine. The European Union has not turned away from Ukraine and spat in Ukraine's face because of the pandemic crisis, as Newsfront claims, but is continuing to support Ukraine through the pandemic with an €80 million aid package. The funds are intended to support Ukraine's healthcare system, increase international medical cooperation, particularly to hospitals that are part of the first line of defense against the coronavirus. The EU is also helping Ukraine with various social issues such as elder care, online education, childcare, as well as credit support for small and medium businesses. In total, the European Union is allocating €140 million to the Eastern Partnership countries for urgent needs in fighting the coronavirus. In addition to Ukraine, the list of countries to receive pandemic aid include Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Georgia, and Moldova. The European Commission will also distribute €700 million to help mitigate the socio-economic impact of the global pandemic. Reacting to the EU and US accusations that Moscow had launched a large-scale disinformation campaign about the COVID-19 pandemic, Russian media accused the West of Russophobia and of wanting to hide their own mistakes and inaction in the face of the coronavirus, while Russia is, quote, in the forefront of the fight against the spread of the infection. While people are dying in many countries and economies are on the brink of disaster, it makes sense to learn from those countries who know how to handle a crisis. And the countries that know how to handle a crisis are none other than Russia and China, according to the Kremlin faithful business publications Vzгляд, while News.ru announces that the EU and US statements about Russia's coronavirus disinformation campaign are politically motivated. This latest wave of Russian stories about alleged Russophobia and Western anti-Russian rhetoric in the European Union surfaced after EU-European External Relations Service, that's the EEAS, published a special report on COVID-19 disinformation, which describes how Russia is working to destabilize the situation resulting from the coronavirus pandemic. Having analyzed dozens of leading Russian news reports since the spread of the virus, EEAS analysts identified the main directions of Russian propaganda. Among them were widespread fakes and conspiracy theories claiming, first of all, that the coronavirus is actually an American biological weapon aimed against Russia or China. Secondly, that the EU and the US, unlike Russia, simply can't cope with the magnitude of the virus. And thirdly, that the virus was caused by immigrants who continue to spread it throughout the EU. This targeted Russian disinformation campaign is easily confirmed, and you only need to watch a Russian television newscast, which is filled with conspiracy theories and tales extolling Russian heroism in Italy and the medical supplies that Russia sent to Italy with love, despite the fact that Italy said 80% of the supplies were useless, and the doctors that Russia sent to Italy were in fact Russian military. The World Health Organization has also said that disinformation is a threat, and false claims about the coronavirus are spreading faster than the virus itself and are just as dangerous. The WHO even came up with a new term for this disinformation phenomenon. They call it an infodemic. Pro-Kremlin media are using the COVID-19 pandemic as a reason to demand that sanctions on Russia be lifted, claiming that the sanctions are not working and it would make better sense to lift them so that Russia could fight the virus with the rest of the world. To buttress this argument and give it a veneer of credibility, Russian media are actively disseminating statements made by pro-Russian Europeans. Pro-Kremlin Izvestia claims the Bundestag will raise the issue of lifting Russia's sanctions in order to organize a joint fight against the coronavirus, and they cite a lone Bundestag member as a source, Kazakhstan-born MP Waldemar Hurt, who said that because of the coronavirus pandemic, Germany should reconsider relations with Russia and lift the unproductive sanctions. The EU, however, does not intend to lift any of the Russia sanctions. On March the 30th, the European Union issued a statement saying it will stand by Ukraine in the face of the coronavirus pandemic and will mobilize substantial support. The EU statement reads, quote, "The EU will continue to support Ukraine in this unprecedented crisis. In order to alleviate its impact on the health system, people's daily lives, and the economy, the EU is preparing a set of assistance measures for individual partner countries, as well as for the Eastern Neighborhood region as a whole. A first package for Ukraine comprises around €80 million. Ukraine's foreign ministry responded to Russian politicians' call for sanction relief by noting that the world really should unite in the fight against the coronavirus, but such a fight should not be a reason to ignore and treat Russia's ongoing aggression against Ukraine with impunity." Meanwhile, during a telephone conversation with Ukraine's foreign minister, Austria's Federal Minister for European and International Affairs Alexander Schallenberg assured that Russia's efforts to lift sanctions because of coronavirus pandemic are futile. Waldemar Hirt, the Bundestag member whose sanctions position is Vestia conveniently presented as the position of the Bundestag, hails from the Alternative für Deutschland, Alternative for Germany, a party, a right-wing populist, economically libertarian, socially conservative, Eurosceptic, and reactionary political party in Germany. Hirt regularly visits Russian-occupied Crimea and has participated in the Russian Economic Forum held in Yalta. That's it for this week. You can find much more dissected disinformation on our website, StopFake.org. Be vigilant, stay safe, look out for fakes, don't listen to Russian disinformation because washing your hands and social distancing will in fact protect you from the coronavirus. And remember, if you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, forward it to us for a truth autopsy. I'm Marko Suprun, and this is StopFake. Thanks for watching.